Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Sonic Talk podcast. I am your host for this month, Alex Peel, and with me today is my ever-present co-host, Jason Barry.
I'm imitating the stream of the 25th anniversary, even though we were there and we had a blast.
Also, of course, with me as usual is the ever-incessantly annoying GX Echidna.
I'm in charge of this gym. Oh wait, no, I'm not anymore.
Ha! Very, very, very hilarious, you two. You are always so full of the humor and the big laughs, and I always appreciate that.
I think you're ready for NPR now.
Oh, thank you, GX.
Given your tone.
Well, I'm just feeling really mellow right now. I'll probably change later in the show.
Jason, I don't know. I think he's gunning to replace Garrison Keillor.
That'll never happen. So, since this show is mostly going to be about me and Jason talking about our experiences at the Sonic 25th anniversary party, I figure that we're going to start this off by just asking our good friend GX what he's been up to. GX, what have you been up to?
In terms of playing games, jack all.
Anything. I didn't say playing games. I guess that what have you been up to that is interesting and not just you ripping episodes from Dragon Ball and One Piece and stuff.
I've been making very poor life choices in my purchases.
Right. You showed us some of those earlier.
I haven't even told you what the bad life choice purchase is.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't those gigantic My Little Pony toys.
No, those are great choices. I have no regrets at all about those ones.
Okay, so now that we know what your standard for a good purchase is, I cannot wait to hear what your standard for a bad purchase is.
I'm at least gonna... I've been playing a bunch of stuff. I've been playing a little bit more Rhythm Heaven, Mega Mix. I was able to beat the Elite Four in Pokemon Leaf Green. I've been playing the new Steven Universe soundtrack attack game on Android. Yeah, it's...
How is that?
It's okay. I take issue with a little bit of how they've designed the rhythm aspects of it. It has kind of that lesser quality rhythm game. Things mostly match up, but not necessarily 100%. It doesn't. Its rhythm elements aren't as solid as, say, like a DDR or I'm trying to think of what else I could even compare it to, but it's just okay.
Final Fantasy rhythm, theater rhythm.
Theater rhythm is okay. It's not as good as theater rhythm, but it's only like maybe one or two steps below that.
I'm disappointed because in that case, because if any franchise deserves a decent rhythm game, it's Steven Universe. So that's a shame.
But it does have good music. Almost all the songs, the vocal songs on it are remixes. A lot of the other songs are kind of like original pieces, and that kind of sound like they would fit with the show in general. But
so they don't even take music from the show?
No, they take music from the show and then they remix it.
Oh, Okay.
They're solid mixes, but let's stop talking about the stupid free-to-play app based on a cartoon. I actually have something to discuss that is vaguely Sonic-related in a way.
Oh, really? Vaguely Sonic-related from you on a Sonic podcast? That's amazing.
Tangentially, we'll call it. So, my family did not get cable consistently until around the 2000s, which means many people who would be familiar with this, many people of our age in our 30s to 40s will say, even 25 or older might be familiar with this and might be shocked that despite me being an anime fan, I have never watched any version of Dragon Ball. I've maybe caught 1 or 2 episodes here or there, but about 2 months ago, I had subscribed to Funimation's streaming service, and they have a lot of anime on there, a lot of dubbed things specifically, and I decided, I'm just going to start watching Dragon Ball. And I had recently, the original Dragon Ball, I had recently finished basically all of the original Dragon Ball, and it's solid, but I specifically wanted to talk about Z because Z, most significantly, is pretty related to Sonic in that...
Super Sonic.
Is it on the record that that Sonic did find influence from Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah,
or is that just...
Super Sonic is a complete knockoff
Super Sonic
of
is
Super
a
Goku.
direct knockoff of Super Saiyan.
Okay. What I'm saying, though, is any fan worth their salt knows that. But has that ever been said on the record?
You know what?
I think so.
No
Yeah,
idea.
I think they did say it was an influence.
I know. I read from fairly solid sources that Silver the Hedgehog was like Sonic Team referred to Silver the Hedgehog as like Trunks, but I mean I don't I'm not aware of anything like 100% on the record.
So I haven't gotten that far into the series, Dragon Ball Z series yet. They're still fighting who's Raditz?
Vegeta?
Raditz?
Oh my god!
Raditz.
All right, you're in the super slow. You got the super slow one. Yeah. I really only ever watched Kai, which is fine, by the way. Weeaboos.
I honestly don't care. I'm sure at some point I'll probably be watching both as long as I can keep up the pace. But I mean, it is like an action anime. It is literally about the most basic people beating up other people in dumb ways, and I kind of enjoy it from the aspect that it is very in just embracing that and how it does. It's just doofy. It is kind of funny in that ironic way that everything is so over the top intense all the time. It's almost like I've always kind of compared that the shonen style of anime has been like, to me, the Japanese version of superheroes or pro wrestling or things of that nature, and Dragon Ball Z is very firmly in the realm of like pro wrestling type of enjoyment. But I mean, most of the criticisms about it are very true. It is very slow, but for how I'm consuming it, it's a great show to just have on the background while you're doing other things, because you're really not going to miss that much.
That's honestly the only reason why I'm not begging you to just try Kai instead, because I know that you basically just have it on the background. So it's like if they're talking really, really slowly or nothing's really going on or they're just screaming, it's just background noise for you.
I mean, if I decide to look at the screen, there's a good chance I'm going to see someone charging it up an energy blast or flying in the air or jumping or doing something crazy like, oh, that's cool, and then go back to whatever it was I was doing.
I was never a big fan of Dragon Ball Z back in the day. Like I watched a couple of episodes and it just seemed so terrible to me because like these characters talked in this very awkward fashion. There was this really meaty. I didn't not like the really bad music in the background, which I understand a lot of people actually like, but I didn't care for it. And it's just nothing really happened. It was, like by the end, I was like, "What the hell? I don't understand the appeal of this."
I mean, I can tell you if it is a bad show if you're watching it week to week. Like I can tell you, most Shonen Jump animes that go on forever are terrible shows to try to watch week to week. It probably would kill me.
Though Kai handles that a bit better.
if I had to watch One Piece 1 week, 1 episode a week at a time, I actually kind of prefer getting a huge chunk all at once.
I've heard that the pacing in that show really goes to crap around like 500 or 600 too. So, but I only recently started watching Dragon. I tried watching the original Dragon Ball. It was fine, but I found the stories to be kind of boring much of the time because Goku really just kind of plows through most of the things he ever faces, and I didn't really find the humor to be all that funny, but I mean, it's fine. Like as you said, it's fine. And I've been watching Dragon Ball Z Kai on Toonami, which has the superior dub and the slightly better original music, and it's I do think it's surprisingly entertaining, but I do wonder how much of the entertainment value in that show for me comes from the simple fact that I'm such a big fan of Abridged, which is probably one of the best things to ever come out of that franchise, even though it's completely a fan creation.
For me, what I kind of got out of the original Dragon Ball is that just kind of how weird it was and how weird it kind of got.
Yeah,
the characters were unusual. The world was charming in like a pleasant yet foreboding way. And I kind of I knew what I was going to be getting into whenever I started moving over to Dragon Ball Z, and I'm pretty fine with that. I'm pretty fine with...
It's a fun show.
With losing it for a bit, just because I didn't go into this really thinking, well, I'm going to love this show. I'm going to be super into it. I came into it because it was a fairly significant part of anime finally coming into American culture that I was never a part of. And I kind of want to have that experience. I want to be able to have that common language of saying, oh, I know what Dragon Ball is, I know what these arcs are, I know what these characters are, and I actually found a lot of characters that I like in it. In fact, I picked up, it was a little bit difficult and a little expensive, but I was able to track down a copy of Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3, which I specifically got because it has the original Dragon Ball characters. Like, you can be Roshi, you can be Chi-Chi, you can be Ader in that game, which...
Oh, right, the android.
Yeah, the friendly android. You can be Pilaf in his robot suit, which has me, like, I was reading off all these characters. It's like, I want to play as that character. I want to play as that character too. And of course, it has Erle, which is an instant sell for me.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I do like more than Dragon Ball, it's Dr. Slump.
So is that the dumb purchase you were talking about?
No, the dumb purchase was on my way to try to track down a copy of this. I went to my local used media store and had various things. I will probably report back on this after I have seen all of it, but I also picked up the full box set because it was sitting there, and I decided I couldn't say no, even though I probably should have. I bought the damn box set of Cromartie High School.
The hell is that?
I almost feel like you and I now have to watch this together.
Oh God!
Maybe that would be our assignment.
Okay, you know what? If you make me watch that, I would make you watch Rosario Vampire.
How much of there is it?
One complete season's about 12 episodes.
Fair enough. I'm going to tell you that, like, Cromartie High School
also
is
on Netflix.
It's not super long, but it is dumb in the Bobobo sense.
Okay. Well, you'll get way more enjoyment out of that than Rosario Vampire, then.
So I guess we both have our suicide pact in place, then.
Yes. Corey made me watch Rosario Vampire as like part of this thing we do where we watch different each other's shows sequentially. And it was his turn to pick, and he picked that one. It's like it's an interesting show, to say the least. And it's exactly the kind of thing that I think would push all the wrong buttons with you.
Oh, I'm sure it would, but I'm sure I could get through it, especially if I don't care that much.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I've been doing jack all. Like I've been buying some games. Like I bought Speed Racer for the Wii, which is supposed to be a pretty good game.
That's a pretty good one.
Oh yes, that is, I bought that back when it was new. It is a good game.
And on Prime Day, I was able to snag Final Fantasy IV for DS.
I will say the 3DS or DS version of Speed Racer is also pretty quality.
Oh, really?
I know.
Yeah.
I just found it though for $5, so it's like, sure, for $5, I've heard good things about this. I will buy it. And I bought, and then I spent another $5 and bought Pac-Man Pinball Advance, which is a profoundly mediocre Pac-Man pinball game. Expect me to spend a whole half hour on that next episode.
No, we won't allow it. So, okay, GX, we let you talk for a good, 15 minutes, I think? I think you can just sit back and listen to us for the next 2 hours now.
I can play Pokemon.
No, you will not. You will sit and you will pay attention. There will be a quiz later.
Are you talking about Pokemon Go or the real Pokemon?
You mean like in real life?
Real.
They are real and they are my friends.
I can't lie about that. I'm on level 11 and
I downloaded it.
I take my niece out. We'll go by the movie theater over here because we got Pokestops and gyms like crazy.
I just got to 17 and Saber, my friend, is making me feel real self-conscious because she actually lives in around Pittsburgh and works in around Pittsburgh, and she's up to like 21 or 22.
Oh, God.
Why? She got a bunch of Pokestops near here?
It's a city, so I'm sure there's Pokestops everywhere. Unfortunately, I drive north through the country for about an hour. And through that whole time, there's maybe, I'm going to say there's 3 stops, and there's maybe another extra 3 if I drive through the park. But beyond that...
Is there a way to make a Pokestop?
Not many Pokestops and stuff around you, huh? I haven't set up the game yet. I downloaded it and but I don't know. I'm just I'm afraid that I'll download it, I'll set it up, I'll play for 5 minutes, and I'll notice, oh hey, there's absolutely nothing around me because I don't really live in the most heavily populated areas.
Well, the thing is, it helps to actually go places. It's
not
just necessarily walking out. But if you're playing and walking around a mall, or if you're going to a park, or if you just want to go out and take a walk in or around a more populated area.
Yeah, I had to really work at it, but I defeated a gym at a mall yesterday.
Anyway, so if we're done talking about non-Sonic things...
Hey, I tried to avoid talking about Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I know, Jason. You're banned from the show.
In.
You're banned.
Yep. Well, that's pretty much the only game I played this past week. I've been pretty gameless.
I got to play my Neo Geo Pocket with Metal Slug 2 and Sonic and Dark Arms.
So Jason, tell me a little bit more about your Pokemon Go experience.
No. Either we're talking about Metal Slug Part 2...
I got a Flareon!
Or that gosh darn party.
Okay, I'll give you Metal Slug.
God damn, I wasn't being serious. No, we're talking about the party. So, the party. It was fun.
Man, it was a lot.
Yeah, Jason, it's a lot better in person than it was on the live stream, sir.
Yes, I was a little surprised to hear Jim Sterling say that this is the biggest clusterfuck since the Konami press conference, because really, on the show floor, aside from some Totino's stuff, which was a little embarrassing. It was a regular party with stage shows that played good for Sonic fan music, and some pretty cool announcements and stuff. It was a fun party. It was neat, and but the what were they called? The jewels, the hyper potions. The hyper potions, they like kind of kept the party. They kind of opened up the party, and they played some nice fan pleasing music.
Yeah, the first opening act went on way too long because they wanted to make sure to get everybody in, and they were patting people down at the door and everything. But really, they should have started doing that at 5 o'clock.
I don't know why they weren't letting people. If they had to do all this crap to let people in, because for me it's like they had to go through my book bag. But unfortunately, I used some scrunchies to tie my the zipper and these two zippers in my book bag together to keep my camera stand from falling out, and so I had to spend 5 minutes fussing around with it trying to get the camera stand out so they can look in there and make sure I didn't have a bomb. And if they had to go through all that security, I understand why they don't just start letting people in a half hour early so that they can, start everything else on time. That just seems like poor management on their part. And as far as I know, Aaron Weber and the Sega people didn't really have much control over any of that. But the first announcement, Sonic Mania. I'm not sure if when Aaron Weber revealed that, if that was supposed to be, if they were supposed to mess that up, or if they were having genuine technical difficulties.
I'm sure they were having genuine technical difficulties. I was watching
I don't know, to me, it seemed like he was just trolling us for 5 whole minutes while he was trying to get that trailer going.
Yeah, here's the trailer, and they show off the title of the game before they show the trailer and completely spoil it for everybody. And they're no, that's a red herring. That's a red herring.
Let me give you the home experience. Whenever they were revealing Sonic Mania. A little bit before then, it started to the announcement was beginning, and then about 5 minutes before the trailer, the audio cut, and I mean it cut.
Oh wow!
And it was completely gone until they shut off the camera connection, and they moved it right to a direct feed from the trailer itself. And then I think they at some point they even lost half of it, and I had to go back and rewatch the whole thing normally. Well, it was also part of the wonderful home experience was the Google live stream chat, which apparently wasn't immediately happy about this game.
Seriously? People weren't happy about Sonic Mania?
I have a nagging suspicion a lot of those people were very young and were more akin to the
Where's Sonic Adventure
Sonic?
3? I want Shadow. Well, you know what? You got that with your Project 2017 thing with the Dark City on fire and everything. I mean, yeah, it looks like it might be good because the Sonic generation.
We haven't gotten to that yet. Let's save that for later.
I will say they at least satisfied both audiences in a way.
Yeah, they did.
They got the 16-bit old school crowd satisfied, and they got the newer crowd that wants a big adventure, drama, whatever game. So they got them satisfied.
Yeah. So now with the party itself, I admit I missed a lot of it. I usually do. In this case, I was trying to get a lot of footage of the party. I was trying to play the game, which we will be discussing a little bit. And but I was able to get back down to the show floor in time for a little bit of Crush 40. And oh my god, I admit I have a soft spot for cheesy rock. And Crush 40 is just the thing if you love cheesy rock.
It's as cheesy as those cheese stuffed nachos from Tostitos.
In a concert, let me tell you, they sound great in person as far as I'm concerned. And it was it was really nice hearing What I'm Made Of playing live while I was struggling to scarf down my chili dog and my disgusting rum and coke. Oh, God, I do not like alcohol, and unfortunately, that is a bar, and so if you only get soda, I feel like you're kind of wasting your experience there by not getting at least one drink.
Well, my rum and coke was fine, but that's because I think they didn't overdo it on the rum.
My cup was I was at least 50% rum, and then Coke kind of topped it off. It didn't have a lot of brand. It was almost transparent. It had so much rum in it, and it was just awful. And I am just so grateful I didn't get a headache when I drank it down quickly to get rid of it.
Dare I ask?
I cannot hold my drinks well.
Dare I ask if you had that before the Sonic Mania announcement?
No, after.
Oh, that's unfortunate because Sonic Mania looks like drugs.
Yes. It is a gorgeous game, but before we get into Sonic Mania,
which we both played.
Yes, we did. We did both play it extensively. The party.
Oh, can I mention one thing? That game had lines around the corner wanting to play it. They had 3 booths for Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, a crowd of about 200 Sonic fans, and nobody was playing it.
Yeah,
that's the saddest
for me,
thing.
It's kind of, why would you play the game that isn't the star of the show when you only have 3 or 4 hours there? That's why I didn't bother with it anyway. Of course, that night I also
both already played it.
But it does kind of suck that game was ignored. But let's be honest here, it was not the best game they had on display that night anyway. So in addition to the stage show, they did have some signings in this neat little room that was just filled with these Sonic cover art posters and these pristine Sega consoles. They had a Genesis, a Game Gear, and a Dreamcast, all sitting in glass displays with controllers or games around them. Unfortunately, no Sega Saturn or 32X, which was a shame. But it's just a neat little kind of it was just like a neat little surroundings for the signing area.
I gotta laugh at you, man. You're like, "Ooh, wow, there's a Game Gear," and
yes,
I'm like, "You have 8 of those at your house."
No, I don't have 8, and I don't have 8. I have 6, and 2 of them don't work. Okay, and another one doesn't work very well. I have 3 that work very well.
Did we mention when we were waiting outside, you got to interview Aaron Weber for about 5 minutes and then realized your camera wasn't recording?
Okay, for one, it was only a minute and a half, and for a second, after we realized that the camera was not on, we turned it on, we got another quick interview, and we recorded that, and we put it up on the Sonic Stadium live coverage blog thing that I set up. Let me tell you that one of the things I love about these types of events is just waiting in line around people who have similar interests, because Sonic fans in person are usually pretty awesome. I had this awesome kid from Mexico behind me who would come all the way up from Mexico with his mom, and he had a new friend next to him he kept making all these weird serial killer faces. And I was able to get a quick little interview with him to put up on the Sonic Stadium.
Yeah, that kid was really excited to be there too. You could tell.
Yeah, you don't really see a lot of Sonic people like that on the internet. They're all like they're like these irritating kids, or these really depressed these really depressed adults. They're just either they have way too much enthusiasm, or they do not have nearly enough. This guy had the exact right amount.
I think my favorite moment was Adam Tuff, who's the co-founder of Sonic Stadium, came by. He had his hair real short now this time. He had a buzz cut, but he still had on his shades. He always wears sunglasses, even indoors in the dark. He'll wear sunglasses. And me and the Sonic Revolution crowd, because they saved us a spot in near the head of the line.
Those are the other people we were hanging with.
So kudos to
awesome.
Shane Reynolds and the Sonic Revolution gang. And so we were getting pictures with him and everything, and one of his fans looked at him and he goes, "Oh my God, are you Roger Craig Smith?" And Adam Tough goes, "Yes, I am." And he got all excited and started jumping up and down.
Oh, Adam, you boob.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. It was great hanging with your friends, and like we had someone from this semi-obscure YouTube channel. Damn it, I am blanking on his name and the name of his YouTube stuff. I can pull it up, but I don't want to like have any dead air on the show, so I'll mention it later. But we just had a lot. We just had a lot of fun with the people online. And then the party itself, lots of enthusiasm for Sonic. There wasn't any of that Jim Sterling buying over how horrible the show was. People were happy there, like especially when they were showing those trailers. Those trailers and just elicited so many fanboy girl squeals. It was glorious.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to several of these events, and this is probably one of the best ones I've been to as far as the Sega Sonic events go. Alex?
I don't know. I'd say it's about on par. What?
Oh, it sounded like you cut off for a second. I was just checking.
I think it's about on par with the Sonic Boom Party 5 years ago, and be ever so slightly behind that Summer of Sonic I went to at the same time. But it was Aaron Weber, at least for the party itself, did a pretty good job, even if the live stream was complete bollocks and screwed up.
Right.
So, of course, we did get to play a game there. Sonic Boom Fire and Ice was very fun. No. Sonic Mania. As I recall, Jason, you were a little less enthused for the game than I was.
Well, when I thought that this was the big reveal that they've been, wanting to wait for, I was a little disappointed. Because, like some of the other
like
fanboys,
those boobs.
That's tiny bit. I think at the same time I thought, okay, this is great because they're going to get the retro crowd back in, and so that's really good. And now, while I still thought it looked great, I was like, I was expecting something mega big like a Generations 2 or something like that. But this is still, looking real good. And I played it. And if you, for those of you who got the, what is it called, the USB plug that came with your goodie bag, it has some of the music from the 2 levels in the game. Well, not the Green Hill Zone, but the title screen and from
title screen. Something else, and Studiopolis.
Yeah, Studiopolis, and that music is like Sonic CD level music. It's really good.
God. No, it's better than that, man. It's this great infusion of jazz and MIDI. It feels like it was just ripped straight out of the best stuff of '90s Sega soundtracks. Yeah, I was listening to it like just yesterday. I was like, wow, this is really good.
That'll be the music for the end of the show, by the way.
Yeah.
And and Studiopolis really surprised me because it's besides being a much wider Sonic experience, much more like Sonic CD if you played that.
Yeah, except I'd say not nearly as crappy as Sonic CD.
No, it actually has good level design, unlike Sonic CD. Plus, this is the only one I could think of where there's times where you have to go left to progress and not just right all the time. You have to stop and turn around and go left for a little bit.
Hell, it helps to just explore because the level's so open.
Yeah, the levels are very open. This is also with the Green Hill Zone. They added some bits to really widen it out. Plus, you get an all-new boss.
There was a massive new area above a lot of the stage.
Yeah, something you got to look for. Plus, they're doing like Sonic 3 and Knuckles, where the flag's starting to spin down, and you can hit the flag a bunch of times to get extra items and power-ups and stuff, just like in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. That's for the Green Hill Zone. Studiopolis, I think you just run past. But
let's just talk about the visuals of this game, because visually, this game looks really good. Like,
as I said, it looks like drugs.
It does. I mean, it's this beautiful infusion of purples and blues and oranges and like all these great colors that gets meshed together so goddamn well. It's like
and there's again, just so many references just in Studiopolis alone.
Yes, like the Daytona car and like the Club Sega sign, like and But like, this is stuff that the Genesis would not have been capable of. What we are basically playing right now is a game that was built for the Sega CD 32X.
Probably a little higher than that.
Look quite as good as the Sega. Doesn't look quite as good as the Sega Saturn 2D game does, but it really feels like something that was kind of made in the 32X graphical style. Because the 32X games are often kind of like Genesis, but a lot more colorful, a lot more detailed.
Well, yeah, they also have
more
those
sprite animations.
Mode 7 effects sometimes, where the sprites can scale and such.
It's a classic styled game, but without the limitations of the Genesis.
Yes, 32X. At least that's how I like to think about it. It's like almost
everybody's saying the same thing, and I agree. It's the true Sonic 4.
Yes, but I do, and my opinion is unique, and it matters, GX. But yeah, like, gorgeous game, nice level design. Like it's kind of like Sonic. My big issue with Sonic CD is that it feels like it's just after the first level, it's just kind of this crazy mashup of platforms and pipes and stuff, and there's no order to it.
Yeah, the one thing I'll always say about Sonic CD is that it's actually my least favorite of the 2D Sonic games from that era, except for the music.
I wouldn't say least favorite, but it's definitely...
It is for me.
Like, I like Knuckles Chaotix more than it personally, but yeah, thankfully this game kind of feels like what a Sonic CD sequel should have been, would have been. So, like, I'm really looking forward to this thing now, because, like, if all the levels are as well designed or as this one it was, then it has the potential being, like, better than any of the Genesis Sonic games, I think, because it's the same basic idea, but with none of the limitations of the old hardware, and and like 25 years of foresight, hindsight.
So here's a question.
Yes.
Would they have been better off releasing that around E3 time?
Yes.
Well, not necessarily. Yes. They wanted to really make sure this was a big announcement, for the event, and plus the fact it's exactly as I predicted, that there's no other 2016 game other than Sonic Boom Fire and Ice.
Sonic Boom Fire and Ice is a big anniversary title.
That's so. Well, no, this is still the anniversary title, because the anniversary starts on June 23rd, 2016. It ends June 23rd, 2017, wow, and this comes out in spring of 2017. So that's fine.
So wait, let me get this straight, guys. You're critical of Sega for not releasing a game earlier.
No, I'm not. This is all Jason.
I'm saying I'm happy with them announcing this game now instead of earlier. I'm happy with that.
I guess things hilarious. That
I'm perfectly fine with them
anniversary game is Fire and Ice.
Holding back on a Sonic game as long as it makes it better. That's great.
Yes. Well, I'm really happy that we'll get more into this later, that they delayed the big Sonic Team game for as long as they did. Because they have never worked on a 3D Sonic game this long before. At least, assuming they started working on it after Generations.
Yeah, when was Lost World? Like 2013?
Well, Lost World was done by a different team.
Well, keep in mind, Sonic Runners was also within that time frame, and that technically is a Sonic Team game. It's a mobile
titles don't really require the same kind of development time or team.
They don't, but they still require some, especially whenever they have big network infrastructure like it did that eventually gets cut before the next game comes out.
Okay, I'll be right back. I gotta get a water, so I'll be right back.
I've read Not necessarily from a reliable source, but I'm pretty sure it's right. Like Jason or GX, I'm sure one of you can correct me on this, that Sonic Mania is being worked on by a 6-person team.
All I know for sure is that Eric Whitehead is involved, and Christian Whitehead.
Whitehead.
No, you're correct. And then I don't know if it's his studio or some other studio, but
2 studios at least working on this game.
But one of them is called Headcanon, and then another one is called something else. And
the Headcanon's the one that's easy to remember.
And then the developer of what's it called? The
Sonic mobile
games is trying to get in contact with them to see if he can do a port for the 3DS.
Oh yeah, Mutant Mugs, yeah.
I should know his name because I hear it often enough in my various Nintendo podcasts. Renegade Kid, thank you. I mean, nothing might come of it, but I know he's been very vocal of let me help you port this.
Yeah, it is kind of weird that this game is not being made for any Nintendo consoles.
I found that very unusual myself, especially release-wise. It will be there around the time that NX will come out, so it could hypothetically be a early NX game if they would be able to port it quickly enough. And they weren't shy about announcing NX games.
Well, what I suspect is if the whole 6-man team
Project
thing
2017
is
an NX game. They even showed it on the
ad,
but for some reason Mania wasn't. Although he probably already said this when I went away.
But one reason why I believe the whole 6-man team thing is because if you only have 6 people, then chances are you can only work on so many platforms at a time. And so it'll be like PC, and then you knock out the 2 big ones, which are Xbox and PlayStation. And so hopefully maybe Sonic Mania will be able to come to more platforms either later or with the help of other third-party developers. So cross your fingers for that.
To a point, it wouldn't entirely surprise me. I mean, my guess, my pure guess here is that it's probably built around the same tools that Whitehead developed for his other ports.
Well, as I understand, those are very friendly to multiple platforms.
Right. So, I mean, I would be maybe a little bit surprised if it didn't even come to mobile at some point. If it's not too demanding a game on the back end.
So, in addition to the great graphics and gorgeous music and good level design, there's also a new move called the drop dash, which I was way overusing while I was playing that game. Because
it took me a while to figure out what the drop dash was, because you guess what it is. You have to hold down the jump button while you're in midair, and then when you get down, you instantly go into spin dash, so it keeps your momentum going throughout the entire
kind of like
thing.
Smash Brothers.
Kind of like that, yeah.
I guess,
like Smash Brothers.
But you have to do it.
Brothers, you can do a spin dash from a jump.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. You're doing the spin dash from a jump. So
I find it kind of an interesting sort of secondary move for Sonic, because in the past he's had the double jump, he's had the instant shield, the homing attack, but it's never been something quite this unique for him, Which I really, once I figured out the move, I really enjoyed trying to pull it off. And whenever you have a place where you can just fall down for a while, and you have time to charge the dash, that's always a good place to have. And oddly enough, Green Hill Zone was a much better playground for the move than Studiopolis.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It kind of resolves one of the more frustrating issues of keeping pace in a Sonic game is that you don't necessarily know how Sonic is going to react whenever he lands after a jump. And this would kind of firm up exactly how he is going to land, which is going to be fast.
Right, and fun fact, if you replace the last 2 letters from Sonic Mania, you get Sonia Manic.
Jason?
Yes?
I think we have to have a discussion about these things that you keep saying.
Here's the thing, though. You're missing the more important part, Jason. If you remove 2 letters, it becomes Sonic Man. Which is the best Sonic character?
Okay, so this is going to be our last show featuring GX, Echidna, and Jason Berry, so I hope you've enjoyed them because you will not be hearing from them anymore.
Hey, Jason, let's start our own show.
No, you won't. You're nothing without me.
Remove the last 2 letters on Sonic Mania on each word, and you have Sun Man.
No one cares.
Alex, we're going to start our own podcast with hookers and blackjack.
Is what we want to talk about.
Forget the podcast.
Oh, you and your wonderful, glorious, easy Futurama references. And yes, forget the podcast, GX. Enjoy your hookers.
That sounds like an order.
Yes, it is an order. In any case, now that we've had our moment of awkward silence and me screaming hookers, Sonic Project 2017, which I think is what we were all expecting to hear about at this show, and is, it's basically what we got at the very end of it.
Well, it's a nice little twist that we all thought that Sonic Mania was that, and then they lowered the boom.
I like on the surface, I'm looking forward to it, but then see, Sonic and Darkness.
Yeah.
These two things don't tend to go together especially well.
It's funny. I thought I was going to be the dissenting opinion here.
At first, I was like, from the creators of Sonic Generations and Sonic Colors, I'm like, yes, great. And then you see a burning.
Join the resistance.
Then you see a city burning in the background, and Sonic's like, "Arr!" I'm like, oh shit, it's gonna be. So worried about Sonic 2006 because it looked exactly like Sonic 2006.
No.
I don't mean it didn't look. I mean in tone.
This looks cartoony.
In tone.
This looks colorful.
It doesn't look colorful, I don't think. But you got this
classic Sonic is so
adorable. Another city on fire thing, but at least this time it's Eggman. You see these giant death egg robots, destroying the city and everything.
Unless he's fighting Iblis or something, and there's this horribly dark Godzilla war thing going on.
Save it for your fanfic.
But visually, aside from the burning city, it looks basically like Sonic Generations.
It's a cutscene. Who cares? I guess that's my biggest criticism is you can't take anything away from this other than it has a bizarre tone compared to the 2 games it was referencing.
Well, it has a dark tone.
Characters in it, and that is definitely a cutscene. It might not even be a cutscene. It might be a trailer.
I think there is a bit.
I thought they were in-game graphics for Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
No.
Those don't look like in-game graphics.
I don't know. It was on a screen. I was looking through a camera.
Well, there is one part of the cutscene where it goes into a side view, and Sonic's doing what he did in Generations and Unleashed, where you could do the slide and you're jumping up and you're dodging left or right. So I think it's a hint that it's going to have that kind of Generations Unleashed style of gameplay again, which I really hope it does.
Which would be great. I can survive a terrible storyline.
Given the games it was referencing, it absolutely is going to be of that ilk. It's just a matter of, the first one that they referenced is all about a outer space amusement park, and the second one is all about visiting all these crazy places that 90% of them look like Green Hill.
Or cities. And I will say it's kind of interesting, the rumor that it could be Ian Flynn writing this story on this one. He said if I am writing it, I can't talk about that.
I've heard they've actually approached him for this stuff before. Sonic Colors, he was actually in the running to be a writer, but they ended up going with the other guys.
Yeah, another interesting thing as far as Ian Flynn with Sonic Boom, because Bill Freiberg has hinted like 2 or 3 times now that Ian Flynn and Evan Stanley are likely to be writers on the second season.
Ian Flynn needs to write for everything Sonic related and everything Mega Man related.
I will agree with everything Mega Man related. Everything Sonic related, I will agree as long as he starts frickin' toning down the memes.
No. I haven't really been reading many comics lately, so I don't really know what you're talking about.
I'd say so if he starts cutting down the adaptions a little bit, because that Unleashed World Adventure has been going on too freaking long. Oh yeah, speaking of Ian Flynn.
Yeah. So like, GX, before we go on to Mega Drive, GX, it's so. Despite the potential dark tone, are you looking forward to Project 2017?
I'm looking forward to seeing what exactly it is. I mean, I have half an idea given the games that they were referencing at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is the problem with this is why people always jump to the stupid frickin' Sonic Cycle thing. Is that we see a trailer and the trailer shows stuff like. I think that this is a situation where...
Fuck the Sonic Cycle. There.
First off, I agree completely 100%. But at the same time, in order to say that, you also have to have a sense of skepticism about it. They didn't really show us anything. They showed us a cinematic. And the cinematic was evoking certain tones and certain gameplay ideas, but they didn't show us anything beyond that. I mean,
it's far too early.
Crossing my fingers for playable Knuckles. Crossing my fingers.
You're gonna get your playable Knuckles next year, and playable Tails.
Yeah, but
in Sonic Mania, so I have a skepticism of it. They didn't show me something that gets me freaking out, quite frankly. I was kind of chuckling to myself whenever Jason was talking because I was freaking out for Mania. Like, I was all over that. Just the way that it looks visually, the message I got from Mania was, "Hey, Freedom Planet, we're Sega, damn it."
One thing I'll say about
I'm hoping that I am hoping that the storyline will be solid and the gameplay will be solid. I just want a solid 3D Sonic game.
I can't really be hyped until I actually see some gameplay of it.
Fulfills the great Sonic game of 2017.
Otherwise, I have no particular feelings one way or the other.
Yes, you're neutral.
If I die, please tell my wife hello.
So, Sonic Mega Drive. That was a fun little comic.
I like the art.
Yeah, it was. And there's going to be a sequel coming out, I think, in September or
It better
October.
be, because it ends on a pretty big cliffhanger.
I freaking look at that art, and I cannot help but... and I know all the art is based off of the classic...
kind of Sega CD-ish.
The manual style art.
Yeah.
But it so freaking looks like Sonic the movie.
Okay, so you got the same effect
as Edmund's voice. I basically took the voice from the Sonic the movie and stuck it.
Okay, I'm not the only one who heard the OVA voices when you were reading it.
Oh yeah, I was hearing that the whole time in my head.
And I'm glad they did a lot to make sure that they separated this Eggman from the the usual Archie one, which admittedly the whole story is a lot more lighthearted than what you get in the regular comic book, so that's not surprising. But honestly, for me, classic Eggman was probably the best thing about this comic, and classic Knuckles, of course. Knuckles was hilarious.
Great. So
hey,
this gets in my first issue is it was a bit memey for me. I did not care for some of the humor in it, and I felt like all the parts that involved Knuckles almost felt like a ripoff of what was it, Boxer Hockey? That did the infamous. It felt
That's true. Maybe
it felt way too much of a ripoff of that. Whenever, if I'm watching my Genesis style comic book of Sonic characters, that's kind of not what I want.
I don't know. I thought they differentiated enough from what they did in Boxer Hockey that didn't bother me at all. I enjoyed the childish artwork and everything, and Knuckles' internal logic and voice. It was honestly, like, if I were to compare it to anything, I'd probably compare it more to Sonic Boom than Boxer Hockey.
Yeah.
I will say, like, the overall comic book, I felt a little lukewarm on, but those two characters I really enjoyed, and the art style could be really adorable. Like, I'm looking at Knuckles right now working his little contraption, and yes, I will admit that looks like something taken right out of Boxer Hockey, but it is being drawn by the same artist, so I don't really have any problem with that.
And really, it's to bring a little humor to the story too. Not that the story isn't being lighthearted at the time.
It's something that I definitely want to follow up and see how it continues. Like,
I do hope that the next issue improves on this drastically, though, because I didn't really feel like there were a lot of big laugh out loud moments in what it was basically a humor book.
I think a lot of the humor was visual. Like, there was a lot of just visual humor to it.
Yeah, like I know that Tyson Hess is really good at that, and so it didn't really surprise me at all that there was as much, that the arc was as funny as it was. It's just, I don't know, I expect Ian Flynn to pull his weight a little more in these types of books.
I mean, it's a one-off based off of the old games. There's his specialty tends to run with actual stories. Like, this isn't really a story. This is more of like a celebration.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but I don't know. For me, it's like I know he could do humor really well, and so I guess expect a little more from him. Now, as for this is a great celebration of the classic games, because this is almost kind of like a fan game pitch in a sense, because it has all these original bosses and original stages, and even like these original items that you have to collect.
I know, the whole time I was reading it, I'm feeling like this is a lost Sonic classic video game that's being retold as a story.
Yeah, and it takes place after all of the Genesis titles, so it's almost like, okay, here's the actual Sonic 4.
Well, that's kind of funny, because visually, everything I looked at, it kind of reminded me of Sonic 4. Huh. Like, it wasn't
not
like...
Not to me, because Sonic 4 is still using the modern...
I can kind of see that in Flower Zone, actually.
Yeah,
I do see that's
definitely part of what kind of tore it to me. Between that and the new Labyrinth version or something, to me it just looked like, okay, a lot of these are the Sonic 4 type of stages.
So, I don't know, like, I don't really have too much to say on this, simply because there really wasn't too much to the storyline beyond what we've discussed. Oh, you know what? Okay, I'll also admit that Amy was a little adorable.
Oh, Classic Amy is great. Like,
yeah.
There's no two ways about it. Classic Amy is the better Amy, but I also enjoy the antics of Amy Rose on the whole. So,
Amy Rose in the comics in general, I always really enjoy. The games, not so much, especially Sonic Adventure. She was really annoying.
Everybody was really annoying in Sonic Adventure. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it.
Oh, I don't know. Takal wasn't too bad. E102 wasn't too bad. Come on. What was so bad about E102?
The pace? The stony silence while things didn't happen?
Oh, that wasn't E102's fault, though. That was the director's fault. It doesn't make E102 annoying.
Sure, you go on believing whatever reality you wish.
So, do either of you have anything else to say about Mega Drive issue 1?
Nothing for the moment, no.
It sure is a comic that I had to buy from a store and not get mailed to me.
I do hope that that this leads to more one-offs and mini-series like this, because I loved it when Sonic Comics would do these standalone stories back in the day, especially when they took place in alternate universes and had throwaway storylines and stuff, and they were just purely experimental. This, of course, isn't really experimental; it's a celebration. But I do hope that the comic franchise is able to go more in this direction more often.
I would absolutely like more stuff like this. I kind of wonder I kind of wonder at what point Ian Flynn gets stretched too thin. It makes me wonder if that could have been one of the reasons why Mega Man's on hold for a bit. But I mean,
as I understand it, it's on hold because of Capcom.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me either. But nothing with Capcom surprises me anymore, except for whenever they release a game. That really surprises me. But I kind of am worried from a business standpoint if they push themselves in too many directions, because they're not who they used to be. I'm still worried about Archie as a business. I don't know if you guys are, but I am.
I mean, they have been really trying to push the Archie franchise lately with the rebooted books and with Riverdale.
Oh my God, my brother!
Honestly, Riverdale seems kind of silly.
My brother saw the first episode of Riverdale, and he said it was the worst, most insulting thing to the Archie franchise ever.
Yeah, but does he still love the classic stories, or?
No, I mean he likes Mark Waid's stuff too, and Mark Waid's was really good. But
I admit, the more I read about Riverdale, the more I was thinking, wow, this sounds kind of shitty.
They said it was the shittiest thing.
They made his old teacher, what was it, Gretchen or Jason, you remember her name, right? You're old.
Oh, Miss Grundy.
They made Miss Grundy hot.
Miss Grundy was like the really old, skinny music teacher who's like in her 60s, and now Archie's banging Miss Grundy in this.
Yes, I didn't want to say that because I still can't believe that that's actually a storyline in Riverdale. But so they really are going in that direction.
Have I sent you the Worm Quartet song?
No.
Remind me to send you a song after the show. That reflects it pretty well, probably. So what I'm hearing is that is severely lacking Melissa Joan Hart.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, but anyway.
I'm making a reference to Sabrina.
Oh.
The live action
Sabrina. I guess.
Yeah, like Jughead's a goth, and at one point during the cheerleaders things, Betty and Veronica do have a kiss together to try to make the performance look more hot.
God.
So it sounds like Michael Bay designed this.
No, there aren't enough explosions in this. So there is a murder, if I recall.
Yeah. So Jason. Okay, there's you might remember Cheryl and Jason Blossom. They're like the bad boy and girl of the Archie clan, because Cheryl Blossom's kind of slutty or whatever. She always was, even in the comics. By Archie standards, yeah. Her brother Jason gets killed. That's where the murder is.
No one cared about him anyway.
No, nobody really cares about Cheryl and Jason.
No, I don't know. I've seen Cheryl on enough comic book covers that she has to have some sort of recognition. Anyway, the last time I ever heard about the Sabrina actress, she was in the latest edition of God's Not Dead. So I'm not really sure if she's really even doing these kinds of things anymore anyway.
Probably not. I'm simply making a reference.
Yeah. References that most of us won't get.
Well, I would hope that some people would get the Sabrina reference.
I mean, I've seen this show. It's just, I don't know the name of the actress.
She was a big Nick actress for very early on.
I didn't really watch Nickelodeon. Okay, so I guess it was just me and Jason then. Jason's old, and I didn't watch Nickelodeon.
I also watched a lot of that live-action Sabrina, so...
I watched it. It was good. So, yeah. So, overall, the party was fun. Wasn't the disaster Jim Sterling made it out to be, at least from where we were standing. The game is looking really promising.
It was a disaster if you weren't watching it on live stream, I guess.
Yeah. And
live stream was a cluster. And insert the word after cluster that you see most fit.
Now, GX, tell me, like, how painful were Airing's Totino stuff things anyway?
So, I came in, basically, Nintendo Life had a little bit of a live blog going up to it, and it sounded like, no, I don't want any part of this, and then it sounded like, oh, okay, we're approaching the reveal for Sonic Mania. It's like, okay, I'll come in here. And that's when I started watching, and then I only watched Sonic Mania reveal, and then I watched the trailer, and then I was done.
Oh, so you completely missed the Totino stuff.
I completely missed, like, the concerts and everything, because I wasn't interested. Like, okay, good, Crush 40. I have most Crush 40 albums and Sonic albums and stuff, and, you know, I don't need to listen to their music again, because they're not necessarily my favorite songs in those games anymore. And I don't know
I'm still a fan of what I'm made of.
Hey, I'll still keep some of their stuff on rotation, but I was big on it whenever I was a teenager.
Yeah.
But I was a teenager.
Yeah. I kind of only really listen to it for nostalgic purposes these days, but I have a soft spot for corny rock, like I've said before. So
yeah, Crush 40 is total crap rock, but it's enjoyable crap rock. It's very interesting. I love what I'm made of. I don't care what anybody thinks.
I learned my lesson after that last presentation of the Sonic Anniversary that, yeah, just come in on the good parts.
Well, you didn't miss anything with the Totino stuff, at least. And speaking of which, do we have any plugs to plug before we end our show?
Oh, I just wanted a big shout out to the guy who after the show was already over, he
Oh right! Oh my God! I can't believe. No, we've got to talk about him. No, we're not just gonna give a shout out. We actually met a fan. we met a fan of the podcast there. We actually have a listener.
We couldn't believe it. He actually wanted to take pictures of us and everything. This guy was awesome.
It was so weird. Like I always assumed that we kind of just did this for our own amusement, and maybe like one or two people randomly listened to it because what else do they have to do that day?
I'll be right back again. I'm sorry.
Okay, and now Jason's gone, and so yeah, we didn't get his name, unfortunately. Or maybe fortunately, you know, like we should keep our fans at a distance so that they remain fans, yeah? Yeah. But it's always kind of nice to hear, oh hey, people do actually listen to this. People actually withstand GX's high-pitched squealing voice and my constant reaching of thoughts.
Wait a minute.
Horrible grammar.
Jason, you told me that you told me you lowered my octave a couple hits.
Jason's not even here right now.
Time. Oh God. He told me he lowered it, so it is less Alvin-like.
I'm sorry, GX. He's kind of lazy. He's been lying to you all these years. This is why we both need to start listening to these shows after we put them up. After Jason puts them up, because he does all the editing. Because I do not have the patience for that. And GX doesn't have the time. I kind of don't want to end the show while he's not here.
I do have a plug.
Okay, GX, plug away.
It's not for something of mine, and it's recommended if you are an adult Hopefully you're not, or at least of an age that you can tolerate saucy language.
Well, if they listen to this, they better tolerate saucy language.
wormquartet.bandcamp.com/track/archie-got-n-std.
Oh, I've heard this one before.
Sorry, my brother got on the phone, and so I had to go into the other room for a sec.
Well,
so
once again, while you're gone, we're actually done talking about the fan
guy,
now.
To the fan. Thank you very much. I feel like shit because I didn't get his name.
No, it's good that we didn't get his name, because
say it in the comments, sir.
It feels like we have an anonymous fan now, you know? Like just one of the masses. Right. Although, hey, dude, if you're listening to us in your car right now, feel free to reply to like the Sonic Stadium comments or the YouTube comments or whatever, and say, hey, yes.
To be honest, we get 0 comments on Sonic Stadium. We get a few views on YouTube and that, but Sonic Stadium we get 0.
The only comments I ever read were when people were complaining about me being too down on Sonic Adventure. I was like, I
guess the tone's going to change this time.
It's just I want to put it in context, you know. That's like they have some serious issues.
Oh, one other shout out. August. PS Plus. If you have a PlayStation 3, you can get Yakuza 5. It's the one that has the becoming an idol character that has all the song mini games. You'll want it. It's going to be free if you have PS Plus.
You, Sonic Talk fan, you, the one listening to us in your car right now, because you do not listen to talk radio, which, by the way, you really should listen to public radio. NPR has some really nice stuff, and it's very educational. But
Alex, nobody cares.
Download that game right now.
Okay,
download it in
awesome.
August.
You know what? I'm actually going to give a shout out.
It'll probably be up until August, GX. You know how Jason is with editing.
Oh, hey, it didn't take that long for the last episode. It took only 2 weeks.
As someone who edited for 50 episodes, I don't give a crap how long Jason takes. As long as I don't give a crap either. I'm just saying.
I've listened to an episode of the Spin Dash that was recorded like 6 months earlier that it took that long to get edited and put out.
I mean, I ain't one to talk, you know, but I'm just saying. Anyway, August is only like 2 days away now, 3 days.
I want to give a shout out to a book coming out this is what me and my brother were talking about real quick, because he was asking if he wanted me to order it for his comic book store so I can get a discount that way or whatever. But it's called The Art of Atari. There's a deluxe edition too that comes with a Steam code for all the Atari games. Now this is my childhood right here. These are all the different box arts from the Atari era, and they're incredible art.
Those are good box art. Atari is an amazing era for box art.
My God!
Even by the 90s, they did not make box art in the 90s.
I mean, because you got to remember, graphics on Atari 2600 were pretty much crap, but they had to sell them just by the covers alone, and the covers were just incredible. And so I am really hyped and excited for this book, and I really recommend it. It's on Amazon if you want to pre-order it.
And my plug is, if you want some delicious nacho cheese stuffed in a piece of bakery item, get the Totino do a lot better than Tostitos wrap. Because Totino's can do a lot better. Totino's is the thing that you want to eat if you are a Sonic fan. So go out, eat the Totino's.
Shut up. Go Bagel Bites.
No,
Sonic Talk has been brought to you by Totino.
Bagel Bites.
You don't know what Totino's controls. They control all the Sonic stuff, man. All the Sonic stuff. We do not do Bagel Bikes here. You want to do Bagel Bikes? You go over to Mario, or you go over to Crash Bandicoot. We don't do Bagel Bikes here.
Maybe I will.
Maybe you should. Maybe Crash Bandicoot would like to have you.
Tostino's stuffed nachos. Great if you
sexually.
Great if you have lactose intolerance and want to have diarrhea.
Well, I've heard Crash Bandicoot does swing that way. He's kind of desperate these days, so yes.
Yeah, he's become a Skylander now.
Oh yeah, I forgot he signed that deal. Okay, well, I think it's time for us to sign off. Adios.
It's always best to end an episode on sexually Crash Bandicoot.
That is the best way to end the Sonic Talk podcast. Unfortunately, we cannot always move into that direction naturally.
I will force it every episode from now on.
I would appreciate that. That is, if you're not under Crash Bandicoot when we're recording our next one.
Peace out.
Because you like bagel bites. Goodbye.
Hey, when pizza's on a bagel, you can eat pizza anytime.